think something followed me back. I know how that sounds, believe me, but I haven't slept in 2 nights. Every time I close my eyes, I swear I can still hear it breathing behind the walls. Let me back up. It started 2 weeks ago. My friend Gabe and I were on a road trip through the Southwest. We're both into urban exploration, abandoned malls, ghost towns, whatever. We filmed some of it for YouTube, though. Honestly, the channel barely gets a few thousand views per video. This trip wasn't about clicks, though. It was about that itch. That need to see the places time forgot. We were cutting through Arizona when we took a detour off Highway 191. We weren't even supposed to be in that area. Gabe saw something on a dusty old Reddit post about a town that vanished off maps in the early 80s. No real record of it anymore. No Google results. No Wikipedia page, nothing. Just a name, Marrowick. We thought it was a joke. Some creepypasta wannabe town that someone made up for karma. But curiosity won, as it always does. And it turns out Marrowick is real. Or was. The turnoff was almost invisible. Just a dirt path half covered with sagebrush and sun-bleached bones. No sign, no marker. But Gabe swore it matched the screenshot he found, and my gut told me he was right. It took us nearly 40 minutes to reach what was left of it. 1 flat tire, 0 bars of cell signal, and an overwhelming sense of wrongness that settled over us the second the first broken buildings came into view. There were no birds, no insects, no wind, just dead trees and sun-baked silence. I don't mean quiet, like out in the desert quiet. I mean like the world had the sound sucked out of it. Like the whole place was waiting. We got out of the car, cameras in hand. The place looked frozen in time. Early 70s signage, rusted out gas pumps, storefronts with cracked windows, and mannequins inside like someone had started to clean up and then just left. And I swear to God, for a split second I thought one of those mannequins blinked. Told myself I imagined it. Lack of sleep, heat stroke, whatever. But that was the first time I felt it. That prickling, like eyes on the back of my neck. Gabe didn't seem fazed. He was already filming. Check this out, bro. This town's like a goddamn time capsule. I followed him down the main road, trying to shake the chill crawling down my spine. Every building looked like it had been lived in, and then abandoned in a hurry. Plates still on tables, clothes hanging on lines. Even a baby stroller on the sidewalk tipped over like someone had run. I know. Sounds like some Hollywood set. But it wasn't. The dust was too thick, the decay too real. There were water stains on the ceilings, old blood, yes blood, on the floor of the barber shop. Not fresh, but there. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to freak Gabe out. But the deeper we went, the worse the air felt. Like something was pressing down on my chest. Then we found the church. It was small, crooked, and half collapsed. But the doors were open, and there were candles burning inside. I'm not kidding. Real flames. Flickering. Wax still dripping. We hadn't seen a single living soul since we got there. Gabe thought it was a prank. Probably other Urbex folks. Maybe they camped here or something. But the floor was covered in symbols. Drawn in black ash. And in the corner, half in shadow, there was a mirror. Not a normal one. It was tall, old, ornate. Cracks across the glass, but still reflecting. Except, not us. When we looked in, it showed the church empty. Just the pews, no candles, No us. I turned away fast. Gabe laughed, called it a glitch, said the angle was off. But I saw it. I know I saw it. We didn't stay long after that. We packed up, practically ran back to the car. The whole time I felt like something was trailing just behind me. Like if I turned fast enough, I'd catch it. And when we finally got back to the main road, we saw the sign. A rusted green street sign we swore wasn't there before. It said, "You shouldn't be here." Gabe wanted to grab a photo. I told him no. I just wanted to leave. Something about that place had sunk its claws into me, and I needed to be gone. We drove in silence for hours. No music, no talking. I don't even remember seeing another car until we hit the interstate. That night I had the first dream. It wasn't much, just the church. Silent, empty. But the mirror was glowing, and there was something inside it. Something moving. I woke up gasping. That was 4 nights ago. Since then, things have gotten worse. Doors in my apartment slam shut on their own. My cat refuses to enter my bedroom. And when I'm alone, I hear humming, a child's lullaby. Soft, off-key. I haven't told Gabe yet, but I don't think we left that town alone. I started noticing the footprints on the 3rd day. They weren't mine. I checked, double-checked. My boots were still muddy from the desert, but the prints trailing through my living room were barefoot, small, narrow, and damp. Like a child had been walking around while I slept. But I live on the 3rd floor of an old apartment building, and my door was dead-bolted. I cleaned them up, tried to convince myself it was just water, or something I tracked in. But that night the dream came back. Same church, same mirror. But this time I was in the reflection. Only, it wasn't me. Not exactly. It looked like me, sure, same face, same hoodie I wore that day. But its eyes were empty. Just black pits leaking something thick and dark that smeared across the glass. And behind it, barely visible in the shadows of the pews, something moved. I jerked awake with my sheets twisted around my legs, like they were trying to pull me down. The clock read 3:33 a.m. Classic, right? Gabe texted me the next morning. He said he was getting weird calls, unknown numbers, no one on the line. Just breathing. Said his phone had glitched twice and started playing the audio from our Marowik video, even though he'd deleted the footage. I told him we needed to talk in person. We met at this diner just outside town. Neutral ground. I didn't want whatever this was to follow me back. He looked like hell bags under his eyes, fingers twitching. He hadn't slept either. "I think we brought something back," he said before I could even sit down. I didn't respond right away. I just looked at him, and he looked at me. And there was this shared unspoken understanding. We both knew. We both felt it. He pulled out his phone, showed me the photos he hadn't posted yet. Most were normal, dusty storefronts, rusted signage. But one taken near the church made my stomach drop. In the far right corner of the image, almost hidden in the shadow, was a figure. Tall, wrong, not just some person-shaped thing. It had angles where there shouldn't be angles. Bent backward. Its mouth, if that's what it was, stretched unnaturally wide like it was caught mid-scream or laugh. Hard to tell which. Its eyes were pinpricks, almost glowing. It wasn't there when I took it, Gabe whispered. I believe him. We argued for an hour about what to do next. Burn the footage. Go back and try to fix something. Pretend none of it happened. He wanted to delete everything. I told him that wouldn't help. 'Cause last night after the dream, I checked my closet. There were handprints on the inside of the door. Inside, smudged, greasy prints like something had been waiting there, watching. The air in my room smelled like iron and mildew, and the bulb above my bed was flickering like it was struggling to stay lit. Eventually, we left the diner. We didn't make a plan. We were both too afraid to commit to anything. Gabe said he'd call if it got worse. It did. That night I woke up to a sound I still can't describe. Not fully. It was like a voice and a scream and a siren all layered together, pitched too low and too high at the same time. My lights were out even though the power hadn't gone off. My TV flickered on by itself, static crackling through the dark. Then the mirror in the hallway, just a cheap thing from Target, shattered. No impact, no reason. Just a sudden sharp crack that made me flinch like I'd been slapped. I didn't go back to sleep. Just sat there in my kitchen until the sun came up, every creak and groan in the building making my skin crawl. In the morning, there was a note slipped under my door. No envelope, just a folded scrap of paper stained at the edges. It said, "You were supposed to stay. It's not done with you." No signature, no name. I called Gabe. No answer. Tried again. Still nothing. That was yesterday. Today I drove to his apartment. His car was outside, lights on inside, but no one answered the door. I had a bad feeling, the kind that burrows in your chest and makes your teeth itch. I knocked harder, then tried the handle. Unlocked. I stepped inside, slowly calling his name. No response. The place smelled wrong, like wet earth and rotting wood. His camera was on the floor, lens cracked, and on the wall above his bed, scratched into the paint, with something sharp were the words. He went back. No blood, no sign of struggle. Just his backpack gone, and the memory card from the camera missing. I haven't heard from him since, but I've been hearing whispers in my apartment, in my car, in mirrors. Sometimes they sound like him, sometimes they don't. It's been 2 days since Gabe disappeared. I haven't slept. Every time I close my eyes, I feel like something's staring at me, just waiting for me to drop my guard. The air in my apartment is thick now. Stale, like the place is rotting from the inside. I keep the lights on all of them, even during the day. Doesn't help. I called the police about Gabe. Filed a missing persons report. They asked if he had a history of running off or mental illness. I told them no, but they looked at me like they didn't believe a word I was saying. Like I was the crazy one. They checked his place, didn't find anything suspicious, didn't mention the scratches on the wall, didn't even notice the smell. I think it's only obvious if you've seen Marrowick. Or if it's already got its claws in you. I've started seeing things in the mirrors. Not just weird reflections, actual movements. Shadows that ripple behind me when I brush my teeth. Faces that don't blink when I do. One time I caught myself staring into the bathroom mirror for 15 straight minutes. I didn't even realize until my phone buzzed and snapped me out of it. Tried to cover them all, sheets, duct tape, whatever I could find. But every morning the covers are on the floor. The tape peeled off like someone did it with care. I don't remember doing it. Today I got a package. No return address, no postage. Just a black envelope sitting in front of my door like it had always been there. Inside was a Polaroid, grainy, underexposed. Took me a minute to figure out what I was looking at. It was the church, the same one from Marrowick. Only now, it looked different, fresher. The roof wasn't caved in anymore. The doors weren't rotting. There was even light inside, dim orange like candlelight. And there was someone standing in the doorway. too far to make out a face, but the outline was familiar. I swear it was Gabe. Flipped the photo over. In red ink, the back read, "It came back. You will too." I dropped it. Couldn't pick it up for a full hour. Just stared at it on the floor while my heart punched holes in my chest. I've been trying to keep myself grounded, writing things down, recording voice notes, talking to myself just to hear a human voice. I used to think that kind of thing was a sign of losing it. Now I think it's the only thing keeping me sane. The voice memos are wrong. They sound off when I play them back, like someone else is talking. My voice, but not. Like it's repeating what I said a half second too late. Like it's learning how to be me. Tonight I found something else. There's a crawl space in my closet. Never noticed it before. Small door behind the coats. Thought maybe I was just paranoid seeing things. But when I opened it, there were bones. Not fresh. Small. Animal, maybe. But there were symbols drawn around them, same as the ones in the church. Circles, runes, crosses with extra arms. Kind of stuff that looks ancient or like someone wants it to. And at the very back, tucked in the corner, like it was hiding, was a fragment of glass. Cracked. Dirty. A piece of the mirror. I didn't touch it. Instead, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I called my ex Danny. She's the only person who ever believed the weird stuff I told her. Back when we were together, she used to mess around with tarot, ghost hunting, all that. We drifted apart when it got too real for me. But right now, I need someone who won't look at me like I need a psych eval. She picked up on the third ring. Her voice was exactly the same, like nothing had changed, like no time had passed. I told her everything Marowak the mirror gave disappearing. There was a long pause on the other end. Then she asked, "What day did you go? Why? Just tell me." I gave her the date. Another pause. Longer. I need to get rid of anything from that place. Now. Clothes footage, the shoes you wore. Everything. I told her I already had. Most of it, at least. I didn't tell her about the Polaroid. Or the crawl space. "I'll come by," she said. "But you need to stay somewhere else tonight. Somewhere without any mirrors." I agreed, though. I don't know if anywhere's safe anymore. I'm starting to feel like I brought Marowak with me. Like it's inside me now, just waiting to wake up. Keep thinking about the mirror. What if it wasn't showing me something behind? What if it was showing me something ahead? Or worse, something underneath? Danny showed up just after sunset. I hadn't seen her in over a year, but the moment I opened the door, I felt a rush of something between relief and dread. She looked tired. Same dark eyes, same old army jacket, but her expression was all business. She stepped inside without a word, carrying a worn leather bag that jingled faintly when she moved. "We don't have long," she said. I wanted to ask why not, but I could already feel the house closing in on us. The lights buzzed overhead like angry insects. The air was dense, humid. Every mirror was still covered, but I could feel them behind the sheets. Watching. "Tell me what happened again," she said as she lit a bundle of sage and started walking through the apartment, trailing smoke like a priest performing last rites. I did. The dreams. The figure in Gabe's photo. The Polaroid. The thing in the crawl space. Danny didn't say much, just nodded occasionally, her face tight. When I mentioned the fragment of glass behind the coats, she stopped. "Show me." We walked to the closet. I hesitated at the door. It was closed again, though I know I left it open. My stomach twisted as I pulled it open and pushed the coats aside. The crawl space was gone. No little door, no gap in the wall. Just smooth plaster like nothing had ever been there. I stepped back. No, it was right here. I swear there were bones, symbols, the mirror piece. Danny looked at me, then back at the wall. She ran her fingers over the surface. It moved. What? She stepped back, face pale now. Or it's hiding. Either way, that's not good. I felt dizzy. My ears rang. I turned around and almost bumped into my hallway mirror. Except I'd covered that one. The sheet was gone. Just lying on the floor in a neat little fold. And in the mirror, I saw Danny. But not me. I wasn't there. I backed away fast, nearly tripping. Danny grabbed my arm. "Don't look too long," she said. "That's how it finds the cracks. The cracks in you, in here." She tapped her temple. I wanted answers, but Danny wasn't giving lectures. She tossed salt in the corners of the rooms, whispered things I couldn't quite make out. The smoke from the sage coiled unnaturally in some spots, like it hit invisible shapes in the air and slid around them. She paused in the kitchen. "You didn't tell me you lit candles." "I didn't. There were 3 of them, tiny, half-melted, arranged in a triangle on the counter, still warm. I never bought candles like that in my life." Danny reached into her bag and pulled out a small mirror, hand-held circular roll. She held it up and tilted it toward the corner of the room. I couldn't see anything in it from where I stood, but she stiffened. "It's trying to anchor," she said. "What does that mean?" "If it roots itself here, it won't just haunt you, it'll stay, grow, pull others in." I felt sick. "You can stop it, right?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to my bedroom, stopped at the threshold. "Don't come in." I didn't argue, just leaned against the wall and tried to breathe. She stayed in there for maybe 10 minutes, long enough for me to start hearing whispers again, just on the edge of hearing. My name, maybe, or laughter. It kept fading before I could focus. When she came out, she looked worse. "Strong," she said. "Whatever you saw out there, it wasn't just some haunted place. You stepped into something that wants out." "It has Gabe," I said quietly. Danny hesitated. "Maybe, or maybe it has a version of him. Either way, if you go back, I have to." That came out faster than I meant. Like something inside me was already convinced. Like I wanted to go back. Danny stepped closer. "It's exactly what it wants." I didn't say anything. She sighed, sat down on the edge of my couch like she was suddenly too tired to stand. "You don't have much time," she said. "The pull is only going to get worse. You need to burn whatever's left from that trip." "You said you already did." I nodded, but I lied. The Polaroid was still in my jacket pocket, wrapped in a plastic sandwich bag. I could feel it against my chest even now, like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. There was something else I hadn't told her. The dreams were changing. Last night I was inside the church, not just watching from the pews. It felt real. The smell of wax and rot, the cold of the stone floor under my knees, the creak of wood as something walked toward me, slow, deliberate. I woke up with splinters in my hands, real ones, embedded deep under the skin. I had to dig them out with tweezers. Whatever marrow it was, it hadn't stayed in Arizona. It was here. It is here. And part of me thinks it never left. That maybe I never really came back. I didn't sleep that night even after Danny left. She made me promise to text her if anything changed. I told her I would, but the truth is, I didn't want her coming back here. Not anymore. Not after the way she looked when she came out of my bedroom, pale and quiet, and unwilling to tell me what she'd seen. I think part of her knew she couldn't stop it, and part of me doesn't want her to try. That's not me talking. I know how it sounds. But something's shifted inside me. Like whatever came back with me from Marrowick has been rearranging things subtle at first. Now not so much. Time's been slipping. I don't mean I'm spacing out or losing track. I mean I'll blink and hours will be gone. I'll look at the stove clock, then at my phone, and the numbers won't match. I'll go to heat up food, and the microwave will be full of something I don't remember putting in there. Last night I found dirt under my fingernails. Not just a little, packed in, like I'd been digging. Checked the bathtub, the balcony, even outside the building. Nothing. I haven't left the apartment since Danny left. Or at least I don't remember leaving. The mirrors are starting to show things even when they're covered. That makes no sense, I know. But sometimes I'll walk past one and catch a flash through the sheet, like something is glowing underneath. Like the fabric is thin as fog. Once I leaned in close, just for a second. My reflection didn't lean back. I stumbled away and refused to look again, but it's too late. I see that version of me now in my head, perfectly clear. Same face, same eyes. But the mouth was smiling. Mine wasn't. This morning, if it was morning, I found a note in the hallway. Not slipped under the door this time. Just sitting in the middle of the floor, folded perfectly in half, like someone had placed it there with care. It read, "You're beginning to remember." Good. That's all. No threat, no demand. Just a statement. Casual, confident, and they're right. I am remembering. The church wasn't the end of Marrowick. It wasn't even the worst part. There was something else, a building we never filmed, never went inside. I remember standing in front of it, watching the windows. Something about it made my stomach turn. Like the walls were breathing. Like the house knew us. Gabe said we should skip it. That the vibe was wrong. I agreed. But now I think we did go inside. And something doesn't want me to remember what we saw. The dreams are sharper now, more tactile. I feel things stone under my fingers wind against my face. I smell old wood and dried blood. I taste the dust, and I'm not alone in them anymore. There's a boy. He stands in the far corner of the church barefoot, wearing old clothes like Depression era, faded suspenders, and a shirt 2 sizes too small. His face is blurred like a smudge on a photograph. But I know he's watching me. He never speaks, never moves, just waits. Sometimes I wake up to find muddy footprints in the hallway. Small ones. I tried calling Danny again. She didn't pick up. Later, I checked her Instagram. Her account's gone, deleted, vanished overnight. Her number's disconnected too. No message, just nothing. It's like she never existed. I started going through the things in my apartment, checking for anything I might have missed. I tore open drawers, flipped mattresses, even unscrewed a vent cover I hadn't touched in years. I found something tucked inside. A cassette tape. Not labeled. No case. Just loose, like someone wanted me to find it. Don't even own a cassette player, but my neighbor Phil, older guy down the hall, restores old tech. Brought it to him. He was wary. Looked me over like I'd aged 10 years since he saw me last. "You okay, kid?" he asked. "Not really," I said. He said he'd give it a listen and let me know. I left the tape with him and went back home. The hallway lights flickered as I walked. An hour later, I heard banging on my door. When I opened it, no one was there, except the tape. It was back on my welcome mat, with a note. "Don't play this again. Ever. Phil hasn't answered his door since. I don't know what was on it, but I've been hearing sounds at night, Warped, echoing voices like tape stretched too thin. Whispers in fast forward, screams in reverse. I don't think I'm going to last much longer in here. The walls feel thinner now. Sometimes I think if I just press my hand against the right spot, it'll go through like the place is unraveling thread by thread. Like I'm not in my apartment anymore. Not really. Not entirely. I haven't left the apartment in days. Or maybe it's been longer. My phone says it's Friday. The microwave says Tuesday. My laptop refuses to boot at all, just loops the startup chime in slow motion, like it's drowning. I keep trying to write things down. Little reminders notes to keep myself tethered. But the ink on my post-its fades too fast. 1 minute it's clear, the next it's smudged into nothing. Sometimes I find words I didn't write. They can see you better in the dark. I've stopped using mirrors completely. Even covered, they seem to hunger. A few nights ago, I heard whispering coming from under the sheet in the bathroom. I opened the door, and the air moved like something inside was breathing slow and deep. Waiting. I haven't gone back in since. Phil, the neighbor with the cassette player, he's gone. I don't mean he's avoiding me. I mean his apartment is gone. I knocked yesterday. No answer. Looked under the door. No light. I thought maybe he was just out, so I walked to the other end of the hall to check the mailboxes. His name isn't there anymore. Just an empty slot, like it's always been empty. But I remember him. I remember the smell of solar and coffee that drifted into the hallway when he left his door cracked. I remember the jazz he played on Sunday mornings. It's like Merriwick is erasing anything that resists it. Or maybe it's making room. I finally listened to the tape. I had to. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't stop myself. I borrowed an old Walkman from a pawn shop a few blocks away. The guy behind the counter didn't even look up when I asked. Just slid it across to me like he was waiting for it. I brought it home, locked the door, turned off all the lights. Then I pressed play. At first it was static. Thick, broken like wind through a tunnel. Then voices. Dozens layered over each other, chanting or humming or crying. I couldn't tell. It didn't feel like sound. It felt like weight pressing down on my skull. I started sweating, shaking. Then something shifted. There was a beat of silence. Then a single voice, calm, clear, close. You've been here before. It wasn't my voice, but it knew me. Every syllable rang through my bones, like it was crawling out of the tape and into my mouth. I yanked the headphones off, slammed the Walkman shut. It was still playing. No batteries. I threw it in the trash, doused it in bleach, and shoved it down the building's chute. Don't know if that's enough. I haven't eaten since. Every time I try, the food looks wrong. Rotting, even when it's fresh. Mold appears in seconds. I open the fridge and the light doesn't come on. But I hear buzzing. Flies, maybe. Or whispering again, always whispering. I've started hearing knocking. Not at the front door. Inside the walls. It's rhythmic. Not urgent, just present. Like a heartbeat that isn't mine. Last night I woke up standing in front of the hallway mirror. The sheet was gone again. I was staring into my own face, unmoving, like I'd been there for hours. Except I wasn't blinking. And I wasn't alone in the reflection. There were shapes behind me. Tall, still figures in the hallway that weren't there when I turned around. But they were there in the glass, watching and smiling. The worst part, I didn't feel afraid. I felt relieved, like something inside me finally recognized them. Today I found dirt on the carpet again. Small footprints leading from the front door to the bedroom. I followed them every step dragging. On the bed was another photograph, a new one. It showed me standing inside the house from Marrowick. The one we didn't go into. The one I forgot. In the photo, the door was open behind me. Something stood in the doorway. A shadow with eyes. On the back of the photo, it read, "You never left. I don't know what's real anymore." I called Danny again, this time from a burner I picked up down the street. No answer, but someone picked up. I heard my voice. Not like an echo, my actual voice saying words I hadn't said. "I'm almost ready. Just a little longer." I dropped the phone. I think I'm remembering too much now. The dreams are constant. The boy in the church is closer. Every night he's a step nearer. I can almost see his face now. Almost. He opened his mouth last time, not to speak, to scream. No sound came out, just glass. Shards of mirror pouring from his throat, cutting the floor, cracking the pews. When I woke up, there were scratches across my chest. Thin, shallow, like broken glass had kissed me. I haven't left the apartment in days, but the desert dust is on my shoes. Again. Woke up this morning and the calendar said March. It doesn't make sense. The last I checked it was October. Leaves turning. Nights cool and sharp. But now the trees outside are bare like winter already passed. Or skipped. My phone still says May, but the power bill on the table is dated 6 months ago. I don't remember paying it. I don't remember sleeping last night either, but my pillow was wet like I'd been crying, or sweating, or something had stood over me in the dark and whispered long enough for its breath to sink through the fabric. The photo on the fridge is different now. It used to be me and Gabe taking the first day of the trip, standing in front of the rental car holding gas station burritos laughing. Now it's just me. Same background, same shirt, but Gabe is gone. The car too. Looks like I took a road trip alone, like I always did. There's something else, a scar on my left hand. Faint, but real. I traced it this morning, a narrow arc that runs from my thumb down across the palm. I've never had that scar before, but my reflection does. Checked every mirror. When I was a kid, my grandfather used to tell me this thing said that when a person sees something they shouldn't, the world tries to rewrite them. Not to forget, but to fit. Reality's just a net, he said once. And sometimes, if you wriggle too hard, the net tears a little to fix you. I didn't understand what he meant back then. I do now. Think the net's tearing. Keep hearing knocking again, but now it comes from underneath the apartment. Like there's another floor below mine that shouldn't exist. Sometimes late at night I press my ear to the ground, and I swear I can hear movement. Scraping. Breathing. A sound like feet dragging across old tile. Yesterday I found a door behind my bookshelf. Live in a one-bedroom. I've always lived in a one-bedroom. But there it was, flush against the wall, gray, no handle. Just there. I didn't open it. Not yet. But I leaned close. It was cold. And I could hear whispering behind it. Not words, just tone. Familiar. It sounded like Danny. That's what broke me, I think. Because I've started forgetting her face. When I close my eyes, I can still feel her voice, soft, firm, anchored. But her face is smearing like paint left in the rain. I can't remember the color of her eyes, or if I ever really knew. Her name still echoes when I whisper it, but maybe that's the point. Maybe names are the only thing we get to keep when the rest of us starts falling apart. The boy in the dreams is closer now. Last night he stood right in front of me. Arms at his sides, mouth open. No sound, just that impossible emptiness inside. I leaned down close enough to see what was inside his throat. There was no tongue, no teeth, just rooms, endless hallways, stairs that spiraled downward. I could hear someone crying at the bottom. I woke up choking, mouth full of dust. There are new marks on my skin, symbols I've seen before, charcoal black, like someone drew them on me while I slept. One on each wrist, one over my heart. When I tried to wash them off, the water turned red. Not blood exactly, something darker, thicker, like ink with something rotten in it. It left streaks in the sink that pulsed for hours. And now, the apartment's layout has changed. I know that sounds insane, but I measured. The hallway is longer. The bedroom is smaller. The window faces a different street. I don't live on the third floor anymore. I looked outside and I'm eye level with the telephone poles. I live higher now, and the sky's wrong, too pale. The clouds move fast like time speeding up above me, or decaying. Found another photograph today slid under the door. No note this time, just the picture. It showed a version of my apartment. Same couch, same rug, but all the walls were covered in mirrors. Floor to ceiling, and in each one, a different version of me. Some crying, some staring. One smiling wide with teeth like needles. One was on fire. Dropped the photo and backed away. When I blinked, the photo was gone. I didn't pick it up. I think that's how they get in. Danny told me once, long before all this, that ghosts don't need to knock. They wait for us to open. And I think I've opened something. That door behind the bookshelf. It's still there, but now it has a handle, made of bone. I opened the door. I don't remember making the decision. I just remember standing in front of it, hand outstretched fingertips, grazing that smooth, pale handle bone. Definitely bone. And something inside me just stepped forward. It didn't creak. It breathed open. The air behind it was colder than anything I've felt in my life. Not just cold, empty. Like sound didn't work there. Like the space beyond had never heard laughter, or light, or God. And it wasn't a room. It was a hallway. Not part of my building. Not part of anywhere here. The walls pulsed dark and wet, like they were made from something that used to be alive, but had forgotten how to die. The floor was uneven dirt tiles, something in between. And the smell, not rot, not quite. It smelled like the inside of a sealed box that shouldn't have been opened, like old prayers. I stepped inside. The door didn't close behind me, but I knew it would be gone if I turned around. I didn't try. There was light, but no source. Dim and yellowed like candlelight, filtered through water. It moved with me, retreating whenever I got close to the walls. Always just enough to see ahead, never behind. There were pictures on the walls. They changed as I walked. At first they were of Gabe and me early days, laughing, roadside diners, gas stations, and cracked desert highways. Then later, Marrowick, the church, the houses, the photo we never took in front of that black windowed house. Then photos I didn't recognize, me alone, standing in places I've never seen. Motel hallway soaked in rain, a grocery store filled with mannequins, a hospital bed surrounded by versions of me with eyes like mirrors. Every image I was slightly wrong, tilting just a little too far, smiling too wide, eyes just a little too black. The hallway turned left, then right, then back on itself. I swear I walked in a circle and somehow kept moving deeper. The walls got narrower, The ceiling pressed lower, and then I heard it. Not footsteps, not voices. My voice, calling for help. From ahead, from behind, from inside. "Let me out!" "Don't listen to it," I whispered. But I did. I followed it. I found a room. Maybe it found me. The hallway just ended and opened sudden and violent into a circular chamber lit by 3 flickering lamps and mirrors, dozens of them, each one showing a version of me. Sleeping, screaming, laughing in silence. One pressing its face so close to the glass, it was cracking. Only one mirror was empty. I walked up to it, and my reflection stepped in. That's the only way I can explain it. I didn't see myself. I saw it walk into the mirror, into the role of me. Then I looked down at my hands, and they weren't mine. Smaller, younger, nails bitten down to the quick. I was the boy from the dreams, from the church. I looked up and saw the church ceiling above me, warped wood beams crossing like bones. The pews were rotted. The mirror was ahead. This time I was inside it, and something else was outside, watching. It leaned forward, pressing against the glass. Couldn't see its face, just a dark bending form. And it was smiling, not with lips, but with intent. Like a thought smiling at you. The boy's hands. My hands were pressed to the inside of the mirror. Blood smeared where the glass bit into my palms. I screamed, but the sound curled back into my throat like a snake. Then I was in my apartment again, standing, alone. Or maybe not alone. The door with the bone handle was gone. The bookshelf sat flat against the wall again. The lights buzzed overhead, flickering. My hands were clean. No blood, no scars. But in the mirror, my reflection was wiping red off its fingers. I took a breath and felt glass in my lungs. Thin, sharp pain. Not enough to bleed, just enough to remind me that something had changed. The floor creaked behind me. I turned. Nothing. But on the table where the tape had once been, sat a small box. I didn't open it. Not right away. I just stared at it. It was black wood. Heavy. No latch. Just a small scrap of paper taped to the lid. 3 words. "You're almost ready." I stared at the box for 6 hours. Not because I was afraid to open it. Because I wasn't. I sat there in the dark. No lights. No TV. Just the hum of something behind the walls, low and hungry. The box didn't move. It didn't pulse or breathe or whisper like everything else in this place does now. It just waited. It knew I'd come around eventually. I didn't touch it until 3:33 a.m. Of course, it was 3:33. I slid my fingers under the lid, and for a moment I felt resistance. Not from the box, from me. A quiet little voice inside saying, "Don't." But that voice hasn't been loud for days, maybe longer, so I opened it. Inside a mirror shard, about the size of my palm. Edges smooth, not sharp. Curve that suggested it had once belonged to something larger. Maybe even the mirror. The one in the church, the one in every dream. Beneath it, folded neatly, was a photograph. It was me again, of course. But different. I was standing in front of my apartment door. Only, it wasn't my door. It looked like it belonged to a motel. Room 209. Rusted numbers, warped frame. Behind me, the sky was colorless. And my eyes, they were gone. Just black holes, empty, reflecting nothing. I flipped the photo. The back read, "Check in, leave the door open." That was all. I didn't recognize the building, but something about room 209 lodged in my brain, like a tooth. Familiar in a way that hurt. I dropped the photo and looked at the shard again. When I held it up, I saw my reflection, but it blinked before I did. That's when the phone rang. The landline. I haven't had a landline in years. Don't even remember installing one. But there it was, off-white cord twisted, glowing red. I let it ring 6 times before I picked up. I didn't say anything. Neither did the voice on the other end. Not at first. Slow, rasping breath. And then, "You're late." Click. The dial tone didn't come back. Just static. And under it, very faint, I could hear a song. A lullaby. The same one from the mirrors. The same off-key humming I first heard after Marrowick. It was clearer now, almost inviting. I don't remember getting dressed. I just remember the key in my hand. Room 209. It was metal. Cold. Old motel style with a plastic tag. Faded numbers. No idea where it came from. No idea where I was going. But I found the building. I walked for what felt like minutes, or maybe hours, through streets that didn't match the city I lived in. Too narrow, too dark, too still. The air never changed. The moon never moved. And then it was there. A squat 2-story motel with flickering red letters above the office that just read OL. Most of the windows were boarded up. Room 209 was upstairs, far end. Door cracked open just like the photo. Climbed the steps, each one creaking like bones in wet soil. My hand didn't shake when I pushed the door open. Inside was me. Not a reflection, not a hallucination. A second me, sitting on the edge of the bed, hunched forward, cradling something in his hands. He looked up, and I knew it was me, but it wasn't. The mouth moved wrong. The eyes didn't know me, didn't speak. He just held out what he was holding. Another box, identical to the first. I didn't take it. I couldn't. Instead, I looked around the room. The wallpaper was peeling in patterns that looked like veins. The mirror was smashed. The sink was full of hair. The window was bricked shut. On the ceiling, in ash or soot or blood, someone had written, "You made this place." I backed up. My other self didn't move. I think he smiled, but it didn't reach his face. Then the room began to shift. Not tremble, not shake. Shift. The walls leaned in. The shadows thickened. I turned, and the hallway was gone. Just a hallway of mirrors stretching back into blackness, everyone showing a different door, a different me, a different end. And then Danny's voice. Clear, right behind me. Try to stop it. I turned. Nothing. I tried to keep it in you. Then Gabe. Too late now. Too late now. Too late now. The room was gone. I was back in my apartment, standing over the box. Closed. No shard. No photo. But the key, still in my hand. And now on my arm the veins are black, running down toward the wrist, toward the fingers, toward whatever I'm becoming. Didn't sleep. Again. Sleep doesn't work right anymore. When I try, I dream with my eyes open. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, but I'm walking down hallways in places I've never lived. My body hums like something is vibrating beneath my skin, like someone is knocking from the inside. The key is still in my hand. I've tried to get rid of it, left it on the table, flushed it, threw it into the storm drain outside. It always comes back. I wake up with it in my palm, fingers curled tight, like I'm holding on for dear life. Today, I woke up to a second key, identical. It was resting on my chest. I didn't move for a long time. The apartment's shape has changed again. The hallway curves now. I don't mean figuratively. I mean the wall itself bends gently, but unnaturally, like it's being pulled inward by gravity from another direction. There are new rooms. One is a bathroom that wasn't there yesterday. The light flickers red. The mirror above the sink has no reflection, just static like an old TV stuck on a dead channel. Another is a narrow corridor that leads to a brick wall with something breathing behind it. I don't open doors anymore. They open themselves. Earlier today I found a third box. It was in the fridge. Inside a photograph of me taken from behind. In the reflection of a window I didn't know I had. In the picture I was staring at something across the street. A building with a sign that just said, "We remember you." When I looked out my window, that building was there. I don't live in a neighborhood with commercial buildings. Not anymore. But there it was, gray, crumbling tall enough to blot out the sun. No doors, no windows. Just that same sign flickering in and out like it was stitched into the sky. I watched it for hours. I think it watched back. My veins have turned darker. Not just black, but moving. Like something is crawling through them, slowly mapping its way from my heart to my hands. When I touch things now, they feel soft like flesh. Even the walls. And they're warm. I haven't eaten in 3 days. But I don't feel hungry. I feel fed. Like whatever's growing inside me doesn't need food. It feeds on memory. On repetition. I found a note on the bathroom mirror today. Same handwriting, always the same, almost aligned. Don't blink. I don't know what it means, but I haven't blinked since I read it. My eyes sting. Water. Burn. But I'm afraid of what will be there when my lids close and open again. I keep seeing Danny in reflections. Not the real Danny. Not the one who came here. Not the one who vanished. This Danny is older, hollow. Her eyes are mirrors. When she speaks, her voice echoes with my own. She doesn't say much. Just, it's not possession if you walked in willingly. And maybe I did. Maybe all of this started the moment we crossed into Marrowick. Maybe it wasn't a town at all. Maybe it was a door, a trap, a seed. And I was the soil. The worst part is, I don't want to leave anymore. Not really. I think about the hallway in the church, the mirror, the boy, the blood. I think about the version of me that smiled with too many teeth. I think about the Gabe that doesn't blink. And it all feels right. Like I've been circling this moment forever. Like this isn't the 10th day. It's the first. Over and over and over again. Each time closer. Each time a little deeper. I opened the second key box tonight. I don't remember doing it. I just remember finding the shard in my hand edges sharp again. This one cut me. A thin red line across the thumb. It didn't bleed. The skin just peeled back like it had been waiting to open. Underneath was black. Thick. Slow. It moved when I breathed. I touched it to the mirror in the hallway, the one that refuses to stay covered. And the mirror smiled. It smiled, like glass bending lips forming. The frame trembled. A voice came from it low, thick, familiar. Now you see, I dropped the shard, but my hand still holds the shape of it, like it fused there. The room won't stop spinning. Not like dizziness. Like I'm inside a box turning over and over each wall, becoming a new floor, a new reality, a new version of me. Keep finding myself in different positions, standing in the kitchen, with no memory of walking there, kneeling in the bathroom, whispering something I don't understand. I think I'm preparing for something, or something is preparing me. Now there's a fourth box. I haven't opened it yet, but it's humming, low and warm and gentle, like it's calling me home. The fourth box didn't open the way the others did. It unfolded, One corner lifted itself gently like paper, testing the air. Then the whole thing flowered open in slow, silent layers, revealing nothing inside at first. Then the humming started again. Low, warm, faintly human. It wasn't a melody. It was breath. Inside the box was a pair of eyes. Not real ones. Painted. Faded. They were drawn on the inside of the lid, just above a scrap of yellow cloth, frayed, singed at the edges. A child's blanket, maybe. Or a piece of something once worn. I touched it and the room tilted. For a second I was in the church again, on my knees. The boy was standing in front of me, mouth wide, eyes stitched shut. Glass poured from his hands, not in shards, but in fine dust, silica rain, soft and deadly. I inhaled it before I could scream, and my chest lit up like fire. Then I blinked and I was back, holding the cloth, still kneeling. My nose was bleeding, not red, black. The hum was louder now, coming from behind the walls, from under the floor, from inside me. I pressed the cloth to my face. It was warm, familiar. I smelled her. Danny. Before all this, before Marrowick, she had this hoodie she never washed. Smelled like old cedar and coffee, and the faintest trace of oranges. This was that smell. I breathed it in, and for a second I remembered her face again. Then it was gone. The mirror in the kitchen cracked at the same moment. Just a hairline fracture. But it moved, crept across the surface, like it was alive, forming the outline of a door. I blinked. Now the fracture is gone, but the door remains. No frame, just lines in the glass, faint but pulsing. Waiting. I haven't opened it yet, but I hear things behind it. Voices. Not whispers this time, names. Mine, Gabe's, Danny's, my mother's. Each name spoken in a different version of my own voice. Like something is trying them on for size. I looked out the window again today. The building across the street is closer. It's not a building anymore. It's a mirror. Huge, curved, reaching up into the sky like a shard of something cosmic, half buried in our world. It reflects nothing. Not the city. Not me. Just inside. Like it remembers what's missing. I'm starting to forget what my apartment used to look like. Where the bathroom was. Whether the bedroom had a window. How many steps from couch to door. The walls change when I'm not looking. Sometimes I walk into a room and it's not mine. Sometimes it's Gabe's house. Sometimes it's the motel. Once I opened the pantry and it was the back pew of the church candlelight, flickering, the boy kneeling with his back to me. I closed it, but the smell stayed. Smoke, wax, old teeth. The black veins have reached my neck now. When I speak, my voice echoes a little, like it's bouncing around in a larger body than mine. I haven't seen myself blink in days. I watch. The mirror watches back. Sometimes it blinks first. Tonight I followed the humming into the closet. The one that used to be normal. There's a stairwell there now. It goes down, not far. Maybe a dozen steps. But it doesn't open into another room. It opens into dark. That thick, full dark you can feel in your lungs. Like velvet wrapped around your face. I didn't go down. But I sat on the top step for a long time, listened, not to the hum, to the breathing, deep, slow, patient, like something just woke up after a long, long sleep and is waiting to remember where it left off. I whispered my name down the stairs, and the dark whispered it back, perfectly, but not like an echo. It was checking, trying it on. I closed the door. It doesn't matter. It'll open again. They all do. I think I'm supposed to choose one. The door in the mirror. The stairwell. the hallway behind the fridge. They all go somewhere. Or maybe they all go to the same place. I found another box, number 5. It was in my bed when I came back from the closet, still warm, like someone had been holding it. Inside, a mirror shard, and a tooth. My tooth. I ran my tongue along my gums. There's a gap now. I don't remember it falling out, but the root is still bleeding. The box didn't hum this time. It throbbed, like it had a heartbeat. Now so do the walls. They pulse faintly, in sync with mine. Or maybe it's, I don't think I'm alone in here anymore. But the truth, I don't think I ever was. The walls are no longer walls. They breathe now, softly, like lungs resting between nightmares. I press my hand to them sometimes and feel a heartbeat, not mine. Not quite. It pulses slow, steady, and old. Older than the floor beneath me. Older than the mirror across from me. Older than me. There's no difference between the inside and outside anymore. Everything is inside. I found the mirror shard from box 5 embedded in my shoulder this morning. Not resting on the bed, not beside me in me. The skin had grown around it like it belonged there. I didn't pull it out. Instead, I looked into it and saw the boy again. This time he wasn't in the church. He was standing in my hallway. Barefoot, wet footprints trailing behind him like slugs of memory. His mouth was stitched shut with something that looked like human hair. He raised his hand and pointed. Behind me, I turned and saw myself. But not me. The other me. The one who smiled too early. The one who knew things I hadn't learned yet. He nodded once gently, respectfully, like someone nodding to a reflection right before stepping through. I blinked. Now the boy is gone, but the footprints remain. I followed them. They led to the fridge, to the back wall. The one that had the seam I told myself was just bad construction. It's not a seam, it's a door. It opened when I touched it. No handle, no resistance, just a whisper of movement like something exhaling after holding its breath for years. Inside was a staircase, but not down. Up, I climbed. Each step felt familiar, like I'd taken them before in another life, in another dream, in Marrowick. The air grew warmer, thicker. My skin itched like it was remembering something before I could. At the top was a hallway, same as the motel, same as the dream loops, same peeling wallpaper, same door. Room 209. It was already open. Inside a bed, a mirror, a body, mine. Not moving, not breathing, but smiling. Glass spilled from its chest like organs. Each shard caught the light in ways that hurt to look at. I stepped closer, and in every shard I saw a different version of myself. Bleeding, burning, watching, waiting. One of them whispered, "It's time." I touched the body's hand. It was cold, but not dead. It was resting. Something shifted behind me. I turned, and Danny was there. But not Danny. Not really. Her face was made of mirrors, smooth and endless. Her mouth didn't move when she spoke, but I heard her anyway. "You opened all the doors. You left all the lights on. You brought it home." She stepped forward and placed something in my hand. The 6th box. I didn't open it. Not yet. Just held it. It hummed, of course it did, but the tone was different now. No longer gentle. Not threatening either. More like singing. A lullaby I half remembered from childhood. But not mine. The memory belonged to someone else. Maybe the boy. Maybe the mirror. Maybe the town. It's hard to say who's who now. I sat on the edge of the bed, the one with the mirror chest version of me, and looked around the room. The wallpaper was peeling back to reveal more mirrors. Tiny ones, all showing me. Me standing in places I haven't been. Me watching people I've never met. Me reaching for the next box. Some of them blinked, some didn't. All of them smiled. I opened the 6th box. No mirror, no photograph. Just dirt. Black, warm, breathing. I reached in and felt something reach back. It didn't grab me. It didn't pull. It just held my hand. Like it had been waiting. Like it was glad I came home. The ceiling above me split. Not violently, gently like old skin parting for something sacred. Behind it, the stars were wrong. Not stars. Eyes. Watching. Recognizing. Reflecting. I stood up. I didn't feel pain anymore. Or fear. Just pressure. Like standing on the threshold of something holy. And awful and true. I think Gabe is here. Or parts of him. I think Danny never left. I think the boy was me. Or will be. Or is. Time doesn't work here. Names don't work here. Only knowing. Only mirrors. Only the box. And there's one more. I can feel it. Close. Waiting. I don't know how long I've been sitting here. The light doesn't change anymore. There's no sun. No moon, just a grayish haze that presses through the curtains like breath on glass. Time doesn't pass so much as fold. Every moment lays on top of the last heavy and warm and tired. I haven't spoken in hours or days. There's no one to speak to. When I try to talk, the air pushes back like the room is full of something denser than oxygen. Like my voice has weight now, and the space around me doesn't want it. The mirror across the room has stopped showing me altogether. Now it shows places, endless corridors of dust and salt, flickering halls made of stone and skin, a stairwell spiraling into pitch with hundreds of hands pressed along the walls, holding, not climbing. Sometimes I see Danny's reflection standing beside me. She doesn't move. She never looks at me. But her mouth is open. Wider than it should be. Wider than anything should be. Gabe came back last night. Or maybe it was me. He was standing in the doorway, wet with dust, his shirt stitched into his chest, like bark into a tree. His eyes were mirrors perfectly round, perfectly still. He didn't speak. He just placed the 7th box at my feet and nodded once before dissolving into smoke, or memory, or both. I left the box there for a long time. I think part of me hoped it wouldn't open, that it would sit there silent and cold like a sealed tomb. But it started humming after the 2nd hour. A different sound this time, low and rhythmic. A heartbeat, but not mine. Or maybe mine, but altered. I opened it. Inside was a single object, a ring, old, iron, slick with something that glistened under no light at all. It was too large for any of my fingers, but I knew it was meant for me. There was a word carved on the inside, not a word I recognized, but I understood it anyway. Welcome. I held it in my palm and my skin itched. My veins shifted. My bones bent not in pain, but in alignment. Like the shape of me had been wrong this whole time, and now it was correcting itself. There was no photograph this time, no mirror shard, just the ring, and the reflection of something I couldn't see, weeping softly behind my eyes. I put the ring on. I don't know which finger. It didn't matter. The moment I did, the wall sighed. A slow, deep exhale like the apartment had been holding its breath since the beginning. Like it had been waiting. The mirror cracked again, but not violently. It peeled. The glass slid away, like skin revealing another version of the room behind it, identical, but subtly off. My couch in a different color. My clock spinning backward. A trail of dirt from the kitchen to the bathroom door. Someone sitting in my chair. Not me. Not anymore. He looked up when I looked in. He nodded once, and I knew he'd been here before. Dozens of times. Hundreds. Every version of me that came back from Marrowick. Every mind that couldn't hold the shape of that town. Every soul that opened the mirror just a little too wide. He opened his mouth. I felt the words inside my chest before I heard them. Almost complete. The ring burned. But I didn't take it off. I couldn't. I wouldn't. Not now. The mirror began to stretch, widen. Not like a door, but like a memory you're finally willing to step into. And the sound, the hum, the breath, the lullaby, it became a voice. Familiar. Not Gabe. Not Danny. Me. It was never about escape. It was always about return. I stepped forward. The mirror let me through. No resistance. Just gravity. Just belonging. The room I entered wasn't new. It was the church. Not the burned out husk we'd found, but the version from the photos from the dreams. Whole. Lit. Breathing. The boy was waiting. Still. Silent. But now his mouth was open, and he was smiling. Not with cruelty. With recognition. Like he was glad I'd finally remembered who I was. He held out his hand, and I took it. And as I did, I felt the ring tighten. Sealed. Complete. We turned to the mirror together. And this time, I was the reflection. Watching. Waiting. I no longer remember where my body ends. I woke, if you can call it waking, on the church floor. The boy's hand still in mine. His skin was cold, but not lifeless. More like stone that remembered warmth. The altar flickered with candlelight that had no source. There was no dust, no rot, no decay, only silence. Mirrors lining the walls now, floor to ceiling. Every surface reflecting me and not me. Some wore my face, some wore others. Danny once, Gabe twice, the boy in 100 different ages. Smiling, screaming, waiting, I walked between them barefoot. The floor was soft, breathing. My ring pulsed with every step, humming in rhythm with the heartbeat behind the walls. Every time I passed a mirror, a piece of me stayed behind. A look, a name, a memory. I watched them peel off like wet leaves and settle into the glass, becoming part of the reflection folding in. By the fourth mirror, I could no longer remember what my mother's voice sounded like. By the sixth, I forgot the sound of my own laughter. By the eighth, I didn't remember why I had come to Marrowick in the first place. Only that I had always been here, that I had always returned. At the center of the church where the pulpit once stood, there is a well now. A black hole in the ground. Not dug, but grown. It hums too, soft and low, like someone praying beneath their breath. The boy walks ahead of me. He kneels beside the well and dips his hands not into water, but into reflection. Liquid mirror. It clings to him, climbs his arms, reaches into his mouth. He smiles as it enters him, and then gently he points to me. I understand. I kneel. The stone is warm. The ring burns brighter, tighter. When I reach into the mirror, I don't see my arm anymore. I see a road. Endless, empty, heat-warped. Gabe and I driving, laughing. A sign on the shoulder that I didn't see at the time, but now recognize. Welcome to Marrowick, Population 0. Except that wasn't true. I was there, and I always had been. When I pull my hand back, it is no longer my hand. It is the boy's. It is Danny's. It is the one that placed the first box in my lap all those years ago. Because yes, It has been years now, hasn't it? Or none at all. Time is a ritual. A circle walked enough times that the dust starts to remember your footsteps. I look up and the mirrors are gone. Only one remains. At the far end of the church. Tall, narrow, curved like a question mark. And in it, the original version of me. The man who went exploring. The one who laughed with Gabe and loved Danny. Didn't know the price of curiosity. He's standing in his apartment, staring at the box on the table. The first box. He hasn't opened it yet. Not in that timeline. Not in that version. But he will. He always does. I step closer to the mirror, and I see him flinch. He sees something. A flicker. My shape behind him. He turns, and I raise my hand. It passes through the glass like smoke through lungs. And I touch him, just for a moment, just enough. I feel him shudder. A drop of blood falls from his nose. He whispers. I think something followed me back. I step away. The mirror ripples once, then seals. The loop is closed. The memory complete. I turn back to the boy who is now the church, who is now the town, who is now me. He smiles. His mouth full of glass. I smile back. My teeth are mirrors now. My eyes doorways. My name a box that opens and opens and opens. I walk toward the altar. A final mirror waits. It shows nothing. And then it shows me. Just me. Still. Breathing. Smiling. Remembering. I step through. I don't sleep anymore. Not because I can't, but because I don't need to. There is no time here. No day, no night. Just the space between breath and reflection. Just the waiting. I used to be someone. I remember that. I remember road trips and gas station coffee. I remember laughter I didn't know would be my last. I remember her voice, Danny, calling me back from something I didn't yet understand. I remember opening the first box. That's how it starts. That's how it always starts. Now I am the one who leaves them. The boxes, the photos, the mirror shards. The faint hum behind the walls that makes them question the silence. I don't move like I used to. Not through space. Through memory. Through echoes. I'm the voice on the other end of the phone that doesn't quite sound like yours. I'm the figure that smiles in the mirror half a second before you do. I am the gap between what happened and what you tell yourself happened. Marrowick isn't a place. It's a direction. It's where you go when you get too close to the part of yourself you were never meant to see. It's where the world folds. I live in that fold now. No, not live. I am that fold. The boy is here too. We sit together sometimes, not as strangers, not as separate. He never had a name. Now neither do I. Names are for before. For bodies and birth certificates. And people who still check the time. Here we are made of mirrors. We reflect what you forget. We remember what you bury. We are the echo you try not to follow in the hallway at night. When you feel watched and tell yourself you're alone, we're the thing behind the feeling. The last mirror has gone quiet now. That means someone's coming. They always do. There's always another one. Curious, lonely, a little broken, drawn to places that disappear from maps, but not from memory. I don't reach for them. I wait. They'll find the turnoff that isn't marked. The dirt road that wasn't there yesterday. They'll find Marrowick, the gas station with no attendants. The storefronts with mannequins that change position. The church with the door slightly ajar, and the candles still burning. And inside they'll find the mirror. And inside the mirror they'll see me, or one of me. Or maybe if the loop is tight enough, they'll see themselves. They'll flinch. They always do. They'll blink. And when they open their eyes, they'll be back in their apartment. Or so they'll think. They'll tell themselves it was just a strange dream. or a weird place that didn't live up to the story. But at night they'll hear the hum. They'll find the first box. When they open it, the air will shift. The mirror will ripple. And I will smile. Not cruelly, not hungrily, but welcoming. Because I remember what it's like to be on the other side of the glass. To scream at your reflection and hear it whisper back something you haven't said yet. I remember doubt, fear, hope, all of it. But here, none of that matters. Here we reflect, we wait, we echo. I don't sleep anymore. I watch. And soon, so will you.